afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 17th. I'm your host, Alyssa Crozen, and here's what's making news now. A celebration turns dangerous. 8 people have been injured after a shooting in Miami shortly after a Martin Luther King Day celebration on Monday. 5 minors and 3 adults were shot at around 3:40 p.m. in the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park shortly after the parade to honor the civil rights leader. 2 people were detained and weapons were seized. Miami-Dade County Police are unsure if there are any other suspects at large, but conclude that this is still an open investigation. This is the 14th mass shooting in the United States so far this year. One suspect has been captured by Turkish authorities after a gunman killed 39 people, including 1 Canadian, at an Istanbul nightclub early on New Year's Day. On January 1st, the gunman entered the nightclub and opened fire with an automatic rifle. He shot several times and shot the wounded as they were laying on the ground. The suspect, Abdulgadir Masharapov, was caught by police in a raid late Monday night after a 16-day nationwide manhunt. Masharapov admitted to the crime and said that his fingerprints matched the ones at the scene. As well, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. Deputy Prime Minister Numan Kurtulmuş is proud of the police for catching the perpetrator. Our war with terror and the powers behind it will continue to end, he said. A Hamilton man has been identified as one of the 5 victims of the Mexico nightclub shooting on Monday. Friends have identified the victim as Kirk Wilson, 49, from the Stony Creek area of Hamilton. The shooting occurred at about 2:30 a.m. early Monday morning in Playa del Carmen, one of the festival's pit stops just south of Cancun. The gunman entered the club and exchanged crossfire with another person. 2 of the 5 killed, including Wilson, were said to be a part of the security team for the 10-day festival. His family is not ready to speak about the incident. Friends say that Wilson also has 2 small children. As well, 2 more Canadians were injured in the crossfire. A deep-sea mystery has come to a stop. The underwater search for the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 has come to an end after about 3 years. Flight MH370 disappeared on March 8, 2014. It vanished from radar shortly after leaving the Kuala Lumpur airport on its way to Beijing. 239 lives were claimed after the plane was believed to have crashed into the Indian Ocean. Passengers' families were told in an emailed statement that the Australian authorities' search of over 120,000 kilometers of the Indian Ocean was unsuccessful. Now let's go to Nelson Santo for your business and technology news.
Thanks, Alyssa. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg took to the stand in a Dallas court today to deny that Oculus, a Facebook-owned VR company, stole intellectual property from competitor ZeniMax. Zuckerberg says he has taken a stand because he believes it is important to testify against false accusations. Zuckerberg said he bought the company because of his interest in VR and how the vision of VR fits Facebook. Oculus executives are now waiting to have their say in the court. Eugene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon, is dead at the age of 82. His death was confirmed by his family in a statement that said he died following ongoing health issues. Cernan was the 11th person to walk on the moon and traveled to space 3 times. He was the commander of the Apollo 17 on the final manned lunar landing on December 11, 1972. Cernan earned several distinctions during his 13 years with NASA. Volvo Cars has reported a 3rd consecutive year of record sales for 2016. They are reporting a growth of 6.2% compared to 2015. The record-breaking year was driven by solid growth in double-digit figures in China and the United States, and a strong growth in Western Europe. The Volvo CX-60 was the model with the highest sales globally. Volvo is looking to continue this trend in 2017 as it is planning on coming up with some of the world's most ambitious vehicles yet, as by the company. A small study is saying that a stimulant, modafinil, can help people recovering from depression, but still struggle with effects on memory, concentration, and cognitive function. Modafinil is a drug that is usually prescribed to people who suffer from sleeping disorders, such as narcolepsy. In the study, modafinil versus a placebo showed that patients showed significant improvements in memory. According to the World Health Organization, 350 million people globally are affected by depression. According to Barbara Sahakian, who co-led the study, a longer-term study is needed to see if modafinil can have a positive effect on people going back to work. 2 Microsoft employees, Henry Soto and Greg Blorett, filed a lawsuit against the company, saying that their work flagging obscene material has given them post-traumatic stress disorder. The 2 were on teams that were responsible for reviewing and removing child pornography, depictions of killings, bestiality, and other disturbing images and videos and accounts. They allege that they were not given enough mental health support from the psychological impact that their work had on their lives. Microsoft has since said in a statement that it disagrees with the two men and that it has a mandatory help for their employees. The men are seeking compensation for their health problems and lost wages, and a court order from Microsoft to impose greater safeguards to protect its employees. Nunavut, Yukon, and Northwest Territories have reached and signed an agreement with the federal government on healthcare transfers. The deal was announced on Monday by Federal Finance Minister Bill Morneau in a tweet and followed with a statement by Health Canada. This deal means that the territories will get $36.1 million altogether in their new financing for mental health and home care over the next 10 years, beginning in the 2017-2018 fiscal year. The federal government issued a statement that said it would develop performance indicators and detailed plan on how these funds would be spent over an existing programs. This comes after provinces like Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick have reached similar deals with the government. Apple is raising its prices in the United Kingdom by 25% to reflect a sharp decline of the pound since the vote in June to leave Europe. This means that the app would have once cost 79 cents in pounds would now be 99 cents. This would make the prices match those of the apps in the United States. Apple announced that the price change to app developers in an email saying, "When foreign exchange rates or taxation rates changes, we sometimes need to update prices in the App Store." These changes are also happening in India, as it has seen increases due to the changes in service taxes, and also in Turkey, app prices are increasing because of the depreciation of the Turkey lira. The increases will also affect in-app purchases, but not subscription charges. The Canadian Liberal government is reviewing ideas to see if it should enforce a so-called Netflix tax on digital services that Canadians buy from foreign firms on the internet. An example is the US-based company Netflix, which does not apply federal or provincial sales tax to monthly billings sent to Canadian customers for its streaming services. But Canadian firms are compelled to collect and remit federal and provincial sales tax. Canadian Heritage Minister Melanie Joly said in a briefing that the lack of sales tax collections not only represents a significant loss of potential tax revenue for government, but it can also place domestic digital suppliers at an unfair competitive disadvantage. There is no word on whether or not this will actually come into effect anytime soon. British American Tobacco said that it is buying the stake in Reynolds American that it hasn't already owned for $49 billion. This would make it the biggest tobacco company and a tobacco giant with a significant presence around the world. This purchase would be the biggest one between publicly traded tobacco businesses based on sales. The boards of both companies are recommending that shareholders accept the deal. It is coming at a time where the industry is going towards next-generation products, such as e-cigarettes and vaping products. The deal is expected to close in the third quarter. Before we head back to the news, let's go and see how your weather is shaping up for the week.
Thanks, Nelson. A small town is ablaze. One person is in custody after a series of fires was set on several buildings in the small town of Milltown, Newfoundland. The police and fire departments were alerted of the fires at around 4:40 a.m. Newfoundland time. A town hall, a school, and an RCMP detachment were burnt down to the ground as a result of the fires. According to CBC, a total of 5 fire departments are helping in the aid of the fires. Bob Woodman, the chief of the Milltown Fire Department, says they were set in sequence and they started to go off a lot, and by the time we got there, the fires were developed. It was a challenge to fight each of the fires. Thankfully, there are no known injuries as a result of the fires. The damages to the buildings are being assessed. The suspect is also set to be in court today. 13 Conservative candidates are set to square off in a French language debate tonight. The Conservative leadership candidates will put their skills to the test as they discuss security, high taxes, and defense. Quebec Conservative MP Gerard Dautel says this debate is a clear indication that the next leader must be bilingual. He also said that this debate will confirm who is best to face Justin Trudeau during the next election. Tonight's moderator is Pascal Derry, a former journalist and news anchor who has hosted many events at universities and charities. The debate will air at 6:30 p.m. on cbcnews.ca. Now let's head to Danila Neves for your top entertainment stories.
Thanks, Alyssa. With only 3 days before Donald Trump's presidential inauguration, musical acts scheduled to perform continue to withdraw from the lineup. The Springsteen tribute band, the B Street Band, pulled out of Thursday's scheduled performance at the New Jersey State Society's inaugural ball in Washington. The decision was announced on Monday after the band faced intense criticism for agreeing to perform. The tribute band wasn't the only musical act to pull out of the lineup. Last week, Broadway singer Jennifer Holliday's decision to back out was also caused by harsh backlash from her fans. The British singer Rebecca Ferguson refused to perform at the inauguration when told she was not allowed to sing Strange Fruit, a protest song against racism. The current lineup continues to include country musician Toby Keith, rock band Three Doors Down, and Radio City Rockettes. Make sure to check skedline.com, where Cabrina Robinson will share who will be attending or skipping the inauguration. Unlike the lineup for the inauguration, the Women's March on Washington has no shortage of A-list celebrities. The march on Saturday has the support and attention from many such as Amy Schumer, America Ferrara, Chloe Moretz, Cher, and many other women continue to show their interest in attending. The event will also be hosting sister marches across the U.S., Canada, and the world. The march will take place this Saturday at 10 a.m. in Washington. The January relaunch of Kylie Jenner's special edition lip kit raised an additional $300,000 for the charity Smile Train. Overall, Jenner's 2 limited runs have raised nearly $500,000, which 100% of the proceeds were donated. The charity Smile Train supports free cleft plate surgery for millions of children around the world. Toronto Blue Jays third baseman Josh Donaldson will appear on the History Series Vikings this Wednesday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us. This is baseball? Yes.
This is for real.
Yeah, you're right.
You get to be on my for real, then I have to be on yours for real.
Oh, well. All right.
Looks good, dude.
Yeah,
Now I gotta come to
Heck
Toronto
yeah.
and wear this.
The two-time All-Star is a natural fit for the role with his warrior-like hairdo inspired by the lead character Ragnar and passion for history. Donaldson has several lines, fake tattoos, and had to learn a Viking-style accent for his character, Hosklod, a Viking warrior of great skill. The cast and crew presented a ball and stick for the Irish sport of hurling at the end of the shoot as a gift for Donaldson. The episode will air this Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the History Channel. Now over to Rob Lowry with sports.
Thanks, Danila. The Australian Open tennis tournament kicked off yesterday in Melbourne, and Canada is off to a great start. Thornhill native Milos Raonic cruised through his first victory against Germany's Dustin Brown, winning the 3 sets straight. Raonic is set to play against Luxembourg's Giles Miller, who he's previously played twice, losing both matches. Meanwhile, Westmount Quebec's Eugenie Bouchard dominated American Louisa Chirico in the 56-minute match, beating her 6-0 the first round and 6-4 the second. The 112th Annual Open is set to finish January 29th. President Barack Obama celebrated Baseball World Series champions the Chicago Cubs on Monday afternoon at the White House, hosting the team in his final days in office. During the celebration, Obama spoke about the power of sport and how it unifies the country even when divided. As a thank you, the Cubs gifted the 44th president with a Cubs jersey, sporting the relevant number 44 on it. In November, the Cubs won their first World Series championship since 1908. In Humber news, the women's volleyball team will host a pair of games this coming weekend at the Humber Athletic Center. The Hawks face off against Boreal Vipers on Saturday, while Sunday will bring the Cambrian Golden Shield. Humber had a bit of trouble against Boreal during their first meeting in the fall, losing 3 straight sets. Cambrian has played Humber tough in the past, challenging the Hawks each time, with Humber ending up on top. The Humber Hawks women's volleyball team is ranked number 2 in all of Canada. The Hawks will face off against Boreal Saturday at 6 p.m. and Cambrian Sunday at 1 p.m. Now back to Alyssa with some more news.
Thanks, Rob. Ontarians are finally getting a chance to be with their loved ones as long as they please. Many Ontario hospitals are extending their visiting hours so people can visit around the clock. According to a report released today by the Canadian Foundation for Healthcare Improvement, 28 hospital organizations in the province have switched to 24/7 visiting hours, and many more are considering the swap. However, 24/7 visiting hours do not give friends and family members the free-for-all to enter the hospital. Patients do have the final say on who visits them. Some of the hospitals that have unlimited visiting hours currently are the Humber River Hospital in Toronto, the Ottawa Hospital, Hamilton Health Sciences, and the Kingston General Hospital. The Ontario government does not have a policy in motion, but is aware of the trend. We are looking at the full spectrum of supports we provide to patients, said a spokesperson for the Health Minister, Eric Hoskins, in an email to CBC. City of Toronto officials have announced that they have plans to increase the number of red light cameras in the city. This is in hope that it will curb the red light running and improve safety in the city. Mayor John Tory announced that they will be adding 76 more red light cameras by the springtime. Tory's goal is to have no more traffic deaths in the city with this implementation. According to a government evaluation, red light cameras help to improve safety around areas where more accidents are set to occur. Toronto police have released that they have seized several guns, ammunition, and a variety of drugs and money in a police operation that led to an arrest of 4 on Sunday. In a live stream on Tuesday, Toronto police revealed that 3 men and 1 woman have been arrested and charged with 165 offenses in relation to the bust. Inspector Peter Morera, a spokesperson for the Gun and Gang Task Force, says officers seized 3 rifles, 3 handguns, and 1 shotgun, as well as heroin, crack cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, and oxycodone. This operation began in late 2016 when officers started investigating people who were believed to be owning illegal firearms. They then suspected that they were involved in the sale of illegal drugs. That's all of your news for today. I'm your host, Alyssa Croson. See you next time.